a little mini-sode that was released in the lead up to the 50th. Liam's very slow. This.
But what about the Zoom call?
Oh God! I'll start again because we've only like 10 seconds in. It's fine. You're fine, but then you sort of very slowly went to adjust your glasses. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the channel in what I expect will be quite a short video, especially if we continue to have internet problems, which I've been having all day. God knows why. My internet just woke up this morning and chose violence. It's been poor all day. But we'll power through, because if there's one thing that the internet needs to work for, it's Paul McGann. And it's gonna work for Paul McGann. This is a mini episode review, I guess, for a mini episode. We're looking at Night of the Doctor, which is a mini-sode that was released in the, I don't know how close it was to the 30th anniversary. 30th anniversary?
It was
the 50th anniversary.
Oh my God. It was a bit late for the 30th anniversary. It was
a
week and a half before.
There you go. And so it really was in the lead up to the 50th where the hype was gaining. Everyone was like, oh my God, what's going to happen? Who's going to come back? And this was released, I think, with little fanfare. I certainly can't remember being like a big, we're gonna put something out, and then
it was they announced it an hour before it came out.
There you go. So quite little fanfare, and people get annoyed when we don't know the title a month before. God, you only knew about this an hour before it came out.
Yeah. I think they were going to have more of a hoo-ha, but I think it was about to leak. So
fair enough.
They're like, screw the leakers, we're posting it now.
Yeah, fair enough. Which they've done before, and they have.
And it worked out quite well, as we will soon see.
Oh, nice. But yes, this is the mini-sode that stars Paul McGann as the 8th Doctor.
Yeah, I don't think there's an 8th Doctor.
To be fair, I think most people probably went who when this
Doctor Who.
Oh God, terrible. I'm not accepting that one.
Okay.
But yeah, most people probably wouldn't have expected Paul McGann to reprise his role as the 8th Doctor in this form, mainly because he hadn't been seen on screen since 1996, and had only been heard on the airwaves since then.
I wasn't alive when Paul McGann played the Doctor before this.
Exactly, it's horrifying. But yeah, this is it really is short. It's only about 6.5-7 minutes long. And it's effectively Paul McGann's regeneration story. We see him arrive into his regeneration, and we finally see him leave. The bit of continuity that fans were just really keen for when the 9th Doctor came out, they're like, oh, but what happened? Finally we get that bit of closure, even though it doesn't necessarily lead into Christopher Eccleston. There's still another one in between, which I'm sure we'll come on to shortly about how that was handled. But we normally do 3 positives and 3 negatives for this one, but because this is such a small episode, it seems very silly to do 3 positives and 3 negatives.
We can just have an open discussion.
Yes, considering it's only 6.5 minutes, it seems quite silly. But overall, what did you think of Night of the Doctor, revisiting it in 2023, now that Paul McGann's already come back since this as well?
I know, he needs to stop, really. He's milking it now, isn't he?
No.
His whole 3 appearances in 27 years.
On the screen. God. Poor guy.
Yeah. Oh, Paul guy. But I loved kind of revisiting this again. I haven't seen this in like years and years and years. I don't care where you were, where the Queen died. I care where you were when Night of the Doctor dropped, and everyone found out Paul McGann reprised his role for the first time in 17 years. I was just sat on my bed at home and like, oh, what's this? And then, oh my God. Just iconic. So yeah, one of the biggest surprises, I think, certainly to come out of the whole 50th event was this. The fact that they sat on this for 6 months after filming it.
Yeah.
Like, how would you not be like, oh, by the way, Paul McGann's back? Like, I would be screaming. I would have been so fired for leaking that, like, the day after we filmed it. But yeah, it was great to kind of revisit that as a fan, to see like the final regeneration on screen we hadn't yet seen really kind of filled in. It was very cool and satisfying. Obviously now we've seen about 5% of the Doctor's regenerations.
Yeah.
So it doesn't really matter now. But at the time, this was huge, and it was crazy to see, you know, a Doctor back in live action we thought we'd never see again. So it was insane. And you know, coming back to it now, I can appreciate the continuity of it all the more with like Khan and everything, which I you know, went completely over my head at the time because I hadn't watched a lot of classic Who back then. So yeah, it was fun to get a slice of 8 and to see how the War Doctor came to be, to see, you know, really how the Time War was effing shit up in the universe prior to the Day of the Doctor. And this was the confirmation of like the War Doctor. This was the first time he was called as such in this. So it was like, yes, he is the Doctor that fought in the Time War, which was obviously long speculated after the name of the Doctor aired. So that was fun to get all of that. And yeah, the hype was real. I remember 2013 the in was, and it was very exciting to revisit that. I think the surprise of it is probably better than it is now, rewatching it. You know, it's a fun kind of little slice of Paul McGann, as every slice of Paul McGann is, I'm sure. That took a turn. I don't intend on cutting up Paul McGann or harming Paul McGann in any way. I love him.
For the lawyers present, I'm not attacking Paul McGann.
In about a year's time, this will be Exhibit A in a trial.
Yeah.
After an unfortunate accident with Paul McGann. But
I didn't beat it. I didn't beat it.
I didn't do it. Please delete the channel, Connor. Delete the channel. But yeah, I still really liked it for what it is. I think it's a great kind of mini prequel setting up the 50th anniversary. And yeah, just, you know, I think one of the best surprises that we've kind of gotten out of certainly the revival era of Doctor Who for sure.
Yeah, I think for me, I think this is just, obviously there's a number of reasons why Paul McGann hasn't been seen on TV since, or on screen for Doctor Who since the movie, mainly being the movie didn't do very well. Not for want of Paul McGann. I think he's great in it. And to be fair, we recently rewatched the TV movie, and it's really not that bad.
No, it's good.
Fine. And so it's a shame that we've never seen him more. Obviously, he's got everything in Big Finish, and a lot of that is canonized in this as well.
Yeah, that's cool.
Because he obviously lists off a number of his companions that he's had during that. So it's nice to see that all get represented in this big sort of anniversary year, which is the kind of place where you want this to happen. And I also think it shows what we kind of missed, I think, as well with Paul McGann. And it really does show that, I don't know whether it's because he's being written by a new series showrunner or whether this is just they've captured him very well, but obviously he's very much he's the template for the modern Doctor, I think. Even in the TV movie, you can see where the 2005 Christopher Eccleston's coming from, and everything since then is in that TV movie. You can see where that is, and I think it's nice that you can see this still here. And it's also very nice to bridge classic Who to new Who, which this does quite nicely. And it helps that he's, you know, still looks like he did when he was in the TV movie. He's not aged as much as other classic Who Doctors had at this point, which is why they couldn't really be put in the 50th at the time. Obviously, since then they've come up with a way to be like, actually, here's how we can get them in. But I'm glad they didn't do that for the 50th, because then it would, you know, I don't know, it would have worked as well in that point.
It definitely wouldn't. No, I don't think
that's
so.
A whole other thing. But yeah, I'm glad that we got this with him. I think overall, I really like it. I really like the tone. I really like how it starts off being like this is just a nice fun adventure, to it being like just pure depression by the end, to be like, well, guess I'm gonna die.
2 minutes in, it's like, okay, now it's depression. Oh, okay.
Yeah. And I really like it. I think he does a great job. He finally gets sort of the quote unquote closure, even though it's not the end of his Doctor's appearances, but he gets the closure that a lot of fans will have wanted. And it's done in such a good way, with a load of nice references to external media that many people won't know of. And especially if you've been watching Doctor Who since 2005, you probably don't know that much about Paul McGann or Big Finish, because let's face it, Big Finish is quite inaccessible to a lot of people, I would say, mainly from a monetary point of view, with how expensive some of their box sets can be, and lengthwise. You know, you can't always find time to sit down for 3 hours and listen to some audiobooks at a cost of £25 or whatever.
And even until I think it was School Reunion, where Tennant's like, oh no, I've regenerated half a dozen times since I last met Sarah Jane. You know, there are people adamant that Eccleston was 8 and Tennant was 9, like they just did not count this at all. So I think that also probably wouldn't have helped the whole stigma surrounding Paul.
Yeah, and I'm sure people probably still said the same stuff up until Power of the Doctor, because you could easily throw this Minnesota out the window and say, well, it's not on the TV show, we don't have to count that, I'm going to ignore that. So
he is in
Paul finally just come back.
He is in the Book of Impossible Things in Human Nature.
Sorry. Oh yeah. I just forgot that. You broke up slightly, and you saw that Human Nature. I was like, okay, you're talking about the Book of Human Nature. That makes sense.
I am correct.
Yes. See, I got it. But yeah, I mean, there'd still be people that could be like, no, whatever. But
I blinked during that scene. I don't believe that.
No, well, yeah, exactly. But yeah, I always want Wolfgang content. I think it was really short shafted with.
Maybe that means to the guy.
Oh,
you know, kick him out when he's down.
Yeah. So I'm glad that he's in this. I'm kind of, we spoke about it in the Night of the Doctor review. I think it's a shame that he wasn't able to be in the 50th for various reasons. Because I think he would have been a good War Doctor, and you can kind of see where he's going with that. In this, you can see that he's already accepted the fact that, okay, I'm gonna go and kill some bitches now. Make me an old man, although he's not technically made into an old man at this point. So what? I guess we'll just sort of go through it. Obviously, Paul McGann arrives. Iconic opening with him being like, "It's me!" and everyone cheers. Which is fair enough.
Screaming, crying, throwing up.
Yeah, literally. What do you think of Cass's sort of reluctance to go with him and her as like a secondary protagonist, I guess, in this, even though she's dead within 2 minutes, but you know.
Yeah. Well, fair enough. She came, she served Cass, and she died.
Yeah, she really did.
But yeah, I enjoyed Cass for what it is. You know, obviously there's not much time to kind of see much of her, but I know she is in like some Big Finish stuff now, because of course she is.
Of course.
If you want to really expand on the character, you know, there's that you can check out, of course. And yeah, she's definitely more of like, I'm a character that can explain, you know, everyone hates the Time Lords now because of the Time War, and the Time War's bad, and I hate you and your stupid box. You know, the fact that she would rather
die. It's how petty she is. She'd rather just kill herself than get saved.
She would rather kill herself and make sure the Doctor died with her than fly away and live. And that's, you know, that speaks to itself, I guess, of what the Time War has done to the Time Lords' reputation. And as we kind of see in the End of Time, what it's done to the Time Lords themselves, because how far they want to go to survive it. At least, you know, the Supreme Council anyway. So, you know, I do think when I did come up with 3 positives and 3 negatives, one of my positives was kind of how well this kind of depicts the Time War's effects on the universe, and kind of setting the stage for that for the 50th, to see how messed up it got for everyone. Not just, you know, it's not just about the Time Lords and the Daleks. Everyone was kind of getting affected by it. We see, like, even the Autons' home world in Rose, the Doctor talks about that was destroyed in the Time War. So, you know, there have been hints throughout the years. So I do like that's kind of built up to seeing a first-hand account of like the Time Lords are just dickheads, and the Doctor's desperately trying to show that he's not one of those until 5 minutes later when he decides to be one. But you know, needs must, and Cass is dead. She didn't know. So yeah, I did enjoy Cass's role in the story rather than.
Much later.
Hello.
And we're back in the room. Sorry about that. There was, as I mentioned at the start, internet issues. So unfortunately, Liam was cut off as he was trying to explain how angry Cass was being at the Doctor. You know, she's pretty pissed. She's pissed. And she dies. She's that angry. She dies.
Yeah.
She's so angry.
Like
Rather than
in The
save
Sims.
herself, she is.
So you can get Sims so angry they just die. That was Cass.
Yeah, literally. So the other sort of characters in this episode is the Sisterhood of Khan. A pretty deep cut, I would say, from from Classic Who, because they're not someone that I'm necessarily aware of too much.
They are in like one of the most fan favorite stories, so I guess the Classic Who fans are like, holy shit. But yeah, like dweebs like us would have had no clue at the time.
No, yeah, exactly, and it makes sense with it being technically a Classic Who Doctor, being Paul McGann. If you want to class him as Classic Who, it makes sense to have something else return from that era. So it's fine, and I kind of like how they can choose the regeneration they want to be and sort of do it that way. I think that makes sense. I like the hint. The Doctor could be a woman. That was what, 5 years ahead of its time. So that was good. I like that. All in all, it's fine. It serves a mean. It's someone for the Doctor, Paul McGann, to bounce off of and be like, I hate war. I love war. Let me
yeah, let me in, coach.
Yeah, exactly. But I think for me, one of the big sticking points for this one, I mean, it's right at the end. It's the terrible de-aged John Hurt reflection.
It's just it's so obviously a still image, and I'm like, no.
Yeah. It's not. It's all, fair enough. It's a Minnesota. You don't want to spend loads of money on it, but most of it looks good. And then it just gets to this bit where it's like, could you not have just got him to do something during filming for the 50th and just, I don't know, do something else? He doesn't have to be young at the start. Just have him be old and stay old. He's not the only Doctor to do it. Yeah. But I suppose they want to show that time moves on and he's gotten visibly older, even though you can't really tell.
Yeah.
From this, because he's a reflection. But
it's a shame that that's the ending point as well. But
yeah, it feels like, oh my god, yeah. Well, that's true. Yeah, I like the music in this, but then it just goes, oh my god, big build up, and then you see some old hands, and then it's like, oh, all right then. Feels like there's a piece missing at the end, but I think this Minnesota is clearly about giving Paul McGann the send off that he deserved, rather than the introduction to the War Doctor, because we already had that in Night of the Doctor. So it kind of makes sense. Did you have any points you wanted to touch on from Night of the Doctor?
I mentioned it at the start, I think, but I like the continuity of it. Like canonizing Big Finish is really cool. Returning to Khan, them talking about the elixir and stuff, because they actually did use that elixir in their previous appearance in the classic series. That's fun. And the idea of like choosing your regeneration is fun, because in the classic series, Time Lords could just do that. They could just like, I like that face, I'll do that. Romana did that for her regeneration. So I like that. I guess that's more kind of special that they made that, and maybe a bit rarer than just like it's a bit more round.
2 very boring minutes later.
Do you hear me?
Oh, there you are.
He's back. He's back.
Back. The 8th Doctor's dead. He's back.
It's Paul McGann. He's back.
Oh
dear.
God. Oh, okay. Oh, right. That was another internet interruption. And if it happens again, no one's seeing the light of day of this video. Yes, you were saying Time Lords can choose their regeneration, and it was nice that they had the elixirs back from Tzitz of Khan.
Yes, so that was all very well and good, and I like that they kind of made it more of like a rare special thing to when you can like particularly choose like I guess your personality of a regeneration. I think that's a cool idea. So I like that you kind of have to go to this far off, rarely seen world to do it. And obviously that main Khan woman, she does kind of show up again a few times in series 9. So I like that, getting that first appearance from her as well. And then I've talked about the Time War effects on the universe. I just put John Hurt's face is painfully still at the end. It is like a screen grab of a BBC thing he was in from years ago. So
yeah,
it is what it is. If you want to find out exactly what it is, stay tuned if I can get through the fun facts. And I also like the set design. I thought the ship looked really cool, and I thought Khan looked nice as well. So there you go. I'm just rounding them off quickly now.
Yep, that's fair enough. Your mouth's not even moving at this point, so it's good. It's good that we see what you're hearing. It's fine.
Okay,
it's
good.
Fine. We'll power through. We'll power through. You've not disappeared yet.
I'm an excellent ventriloquist. That's what it is.
Yes, yeah, clearly. Yeah, I can agree with everything. I think Paul McGann again, just it's probably easy for him to slide back into the role because he's been doing it. He has been doing it for so long.
Yeah.
It's pretty easy.
And he's gone
but,
through that kind of character development on Big Finish as well. So he's probably very easy to be all like,
definitely.
I'm tired. Oh, I'm gonna die. Am I? All right.
Whoopsie.
Me knitting.
But yeah, I mean, I like his back and forth with the Khan woman. And I like his back and forth with Cass as well, where he's like, "Why are you going to the back of the ship?" Well, it's because the front crashes first.
That's my favorite line. Yeah,
it's great. And yeah, it's all really good. And I like the pain in his eyes when he sees that Cass is like, "No, I don't want to go with you." You can see the hurt, and he's like, "Oh fuck, this isn't right. This shouldn't be happening."
John Hurt.
The John Hurt in his eyes.
Yes.
But yeah, have you got? My only real negative for this one is just the de-edge John Hurt. I don't think there's anything else really wrong with this. I think it's pretty good
that's not
and
ideal.
solid.
I know, just because it's a short episode, I do wish his heel turn wasn't quite as quick as it is. I wish it took maybe more than just one argument to convince him, but they shot this in 2 days. There simply wasn't time. It's a short episode, so you can still kind of believe it, but it would have been nice, I guess, to just see more of Paul McGann. But we got that last year. I'm
sure there's more. I'm sure there's more to his. I imagine he's in the context of his life. He's already thinking about joining the war. I imagine there's something in Big Finish that's like, oh, he's skirmished or whatever.
Yeah. And so I'm sure there's a lot in the target novelization for Day the Doctor as well.
Yes, which I intended to reread but haven't yet. But you never know. Fun facts then for this minisode, which I'm surprised there were some, to be fair. But
me too. I'm surprised there were this many. But there we go. We're going to try and get through it.
Yeah.
I'm going to minimize this tab so I can still see you, so I know if you've frozen. And while I read these, so here we go. Fun facts. No interruptions, please. Okay. This is Paul McGann's first live-action appearance as the 8th Doctor since the 1996 TV movie 17 years earlier. First available on the 14th of November 2013 even on BBC iPlayer and the Doctor Who YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe. From the 16th, it was repeated on loop on the BBC Red Button. It was released a few days earlier than planned due to internal rumours it was about to be leaked, meaning it coincidentally premiered on Paul McGann's 54th birthday.
Good
Happy
for him.
birthday, Paul. And that was when I messaged you being like, I can't believe Paul McGann's fucking 63.
Can't believe he's so old. How is he that old?
Can't believe he's basically 70. What is this?
Can't believe he's basically dead already. God.
I mean, he's basically dead in this. So
that's true. He is basically dead.
What are you talking about? Anyway. This is the only BBC Wales production that starred the Doctor but never features the current incarnation.
Oh. Okay.
After coming up with the idea for the War Doctor, Stephen Moffat decided he wanted to see how this incarnation came to be, suggesting a regeneration story as the best of the ideas he had, especially as he'd always wanted to see the 8th Doctor's regeneration. He started writing the minisode after contacting Paul McGann, who indicated his willingness to participate.
Good for him.
Good for her. The episode saw the return of the Sisterhood of Khan, originally appearing in the 1976 fan favourite 4th Doctor story, The Brain of Morbius, where they previously used the elixir of life to revive the Doctor and were known to shoot down any crafts that came close to the planet. Whoopsie. Claire Higgins also makes her debut as O'Healer here, who becomes a recurring character 2 years later in Series 9. This story started the trend of Paul McGann only appearing in live action in regeneration stories, following the TV movie, continuing through this, and then into the power of the Doctor.
Okay.
It's a trend.
It's three episodes, and one of them is his own one.
It takes 3 kills makes you a serial killer, so 3 appearances in regeneration stories makes it a trend.
Fair enough.
I said
that means Paul McGann's a serial killer because there's 3 regenerations. So serial killer Paul McGann's 8th Doctor.
He didn't kill 2 of the Doctors. But,
well,
it's fine. It's fine. The Doctor listing his companions before his regeneration is the first direct reference to the Big Finish audio dramas in the TV series. Good for them.
Yeah.
I bet they were quite hyped when they saw that, to be fair.
Almost definitely.
The BBC promoted this episode as featuring either the 10th, 11th, or the previously secret incarnation of the Doctor. While it does briefly feature John Hurt's likeness, this was an intentional red herring to hide McGann's surprise return. This is the first time John Hurt's incarnation is officially named the War Doctor, confirming fan speculation he was the Doctor who fought in the Time War in between the 8th and 9th Doctors. The phrase "no more" had appearance in the 50th anniversary #SaveTheDay trailer, the meaning of which was obscure prior to this minisode and further expanded in the 50th anniversary itself. Oh, I've scrolled too far. Give me a minute.
I've gone too far.
I've gone too far. Is this it? Is it time? The Wi-Fi's dead. This story abolished the long speculated idea that the 8th Doctor fought in the Time War and regenerated into the 9th as a result. Years earlier, Doctor Who magazine had planned to show the 8th Doctor's regeneration into the 9th at the end of The Flood, the last regular comic featuring the 8th Doctor to be published in the magazine due to the show's revival. However, rules imposed by Russell T Davies and the BBC that the 9th Doctor couldn't be seen with any other companion than Rose meant they were forced to change the ending. And it's just 8 flies away and he's all happy.
Nice.
So Stephen Moffat retroactively thanks them years later. Thank God. Thank you. Paul McGann continues to play the War Doctor immediately after the regeneration, much like Sylvester McCoy playing both Doctors either side of his regeneration in his debut story Time in the Rani. McGann and McCoy also both returned to their role after a years-long hiatus to hand over the part to another actor. Shortly after his regeneration, the 8th Doctor made a point of leaving a gun belt beside when assembling his new costume. This is contrasted here by the War Doctor's actions after his own regeneration. There's the opposite. Character development. My God. This is the first regeneration story since Planet of the Spiders in 1974 to not feature any scenes inside the TARDIS. This one I included just for me. You'll see why in a minute. The story was included on the Blu-ray release of the TV movie on the 19th of September 2016.
Oh, okay.
And in prose in the Target novelization of The Day of the Doctor in April 2018. They did this for me, folks.
Nice.
The 8th Doctor's last words. The 8th Doctor's last words, physician, heal thyself, are from Luke 4:23 in the Bible. Luke was a doctor. Ha ha! Fun. An archival photograph of John Hurt from the 1979 BBC adaptation of Crime and Punishment was used as the young War Doctor's face in his reflection.
Terrible.
Never mind.
Cut it. Just cut it off. Hey.
The story was filmed alongside the final 2 days of filming on The Day of the Doctor in May 2013. And finally, we're nearly there. BBC America aired this story on the 25th of December 2013 as part of an extended US airing of The Day of the Doctor, featuring all the scenes previously cut to make time for ad breaks immediately prior to the premiere of The Time of the Doctor.
Good for them. I'm so glad that Americans finally got to see the full Day of the Doctor experience a month after it aired.
I know. I'd be so angry knowing like there are scenes we just haven't seen in every single episode of Doctor Who that's aired here.
It's not worth it. But then you think in like 5 years' time when it's all on like Netflix or whatever, you'll be like, oh my God, look at all this new stuff. But
I'd be like, I've seen Doctor Who. I don't need to watch that again.
That's true.
That shit show. I'm not watching that again.
That crap show. There's a woman in it now. I don't want to watch that.
Didn't make any sense this episode. It's like they cut scenes out of it. What's going on?
Oh, could you imagine they just cut out? I would hope that they cut out non-crucial plot points, but you never know.
End of Time of the Doctor. Clara walks into the TARDIS and it just cuts to Peter Capaldi. It's cut the entire goodbye.
You never find out who River actually is because it just cuts. Cuts away. It's gone.
Oh, that'd be so good.
Oh God, terrible. Right before the internet finally crashes out on us, which is threatening to do. Out of 10, because we will give it out of 10. What are you going to give Night of the Doctor?
Fittingly, I'm going to give it an 8.
Nice. Mine is naturally a 9 because you put Paul McGann in it, it's going to be a 9. So,
simple as that.
Just I don't make the rules. It's just how it is.
Sitting on tenterhooked for our Power of the Doctor rewatch. Oh, what's he going to give it?
Yeah, that'll be 9. Definitely 9. 9.5. Come on now, 9.5.
Oh yeah, because David Tennant's as well.
That's true. Didn't even think of that. I was thinking of the Rasputin dance. So it's a 10.
God, it's 10.
Wow.
Oh my God. It's an 11 out of 10 for the first time ever.
Come back here when we eventually get the Power of the Doctor to find out if we were right.
Yes. See how our opinions have changed from the first time.
Oh yeah, exactly a few years. God, what a mare. Right, that will be it. Because the internet's gonna kick us out at some point. So hopefully we'll be back in a couple of days when these are uploaded for Dave the Doctor. Goodbye.
Bye.